Hello, YouTubers, and welcome to Level-Headed News. This is your host, Brenda. I have 4 articles in this episode for you. The URLs are in the description of the video for your convenience. And we're checking the audio here, and then we'll get going. There we go. And the first one here is off of BizPack Review. And it says, Senator Lindsey Graham says House GOP tax plan is likely dead in the Senate. Senator Lindsey Graham suggested it's unlikely the House Republican A Better Way tax blueprint will make it through the Senate during an appearance on CBS Face the Nation on Sunday. Graham noted a number of members have hesitations about proposals' language adjustability, which would tax imports while excluding exports. The Congress is stumbling. Republicans in the Congress were all tied up in knots, he said. The House is talking about a tax plan that won't get 10 votes in the Senate. The border adjustment tax is a critical component of the blueprint, generating more than $1 trillion in revenue. Ryan met with GOP senators at a lunch last week where he reportedly told them to keep their powder dry. But not all members were receptive to the discussion. Many other senators share these concerns, and we most certainly will not keep our powder dry, Senator Tom Cotton said last week on the Senate floor. While powerful members of the House have been highly supportive of the plan, critics argue it will place a financial burden on consumers. Dry as I don't, or try this again. I heard keep your powder dry as don't articulate your cognitive arguments against our bad idea, a senator told Politico after the lunch. I have not yet talked to a single senator about it. Ryan and Ways and Means Chairman Kevin Brady near theological commitment to it. House Republicans are hoping to have the tax reform passed by August recess. The next article is off of Liberty Writers. It says, traitor alert, Lindsey Graham just revealed secret plan to impeach Trump. The Democrats are not only ones who are trying to get Donald Trump impeached right now. Today, Republican Senators Lindsey Graham and Bob Corker revealed their new plan to try and get rid of our president. Graham released a statement today voicing his support for a special investigation into claims that Trump was working with Russians during the election. Graham claims he is doing it to help Trump move beyond the issues so he can push his agenda. However, it's not easy for me to believe that he would ever do anything to help Trump. On the plus side, he did agree with the president that whoever has been leaking info on the president should be punished to the fullest extent of the law. The statement reads, I do not believe it is appropriate for Congress to act based on a newspaper article. However, it is imperative that Congress perform oversight regarding any potential campaign contacts between Trump officials and Russian intelligence officials. If they do exist, the contacts may have a logical explanation, but we will never know until Congress spends the time to investigate the matter. If, in fact, there are campaign contacts between Trump officials and Russian intelligence officers, that would be a very serious event and would justify the Senate forming a select committee to look at all things related to Russia. The Russians have been trying to break the backbone of Democrats all over the world and clearly, in my view, interfered in the 2016 election. Any investigation should also include leaks coming from the White House and other government agencies. These leaks are damaging to our national security, and the individuals involved must be punished. The accusations regarding the Trump campaign's ties to Russia are creating a cloud over the White House. They should be fairly investigated by the Congress in a bipartisan manner. It would serve the president's interest to get to the bottom of this so he can move forward with his agenda. Take that how you will. The clear fact here is that Trump has a very long 4 to 8 years ahead of him. The next article is also off of Liberty Writers. It says, traitor, John McCain just stood on stage in Europe and trashed our president and America. or try this again. Last week when John McCain told the world, including our enemies, that our national security is a mess, I didn't think he could sink any lower. I was wrong. During a speech at the Munich Security Conference in Germany, John McCain stood on stage and blasted America. First, McCain suggested the Western world is uniquely imperiled this year, even more so than when Barack Obama was president. He then questioned if we could even survive. In recent years, this question would invite accusations of hyperbole and alarmism. Not this year, McCain said. If ever there were a time to treat this question with a deadly seriousness, it is now, unquote. He went on to attack everything that is wrong with America right now. The digs were obviously directed at our president. Speaking about the Western world, McCain said, the founders of the Munich conference would be alarmed by an increasing turn away from the universal values and toward old ties of blood and race and sectarianism. They would be alarmed by the hardening resentment we see towards immigrants and refugees and minority groups, especially Muslims. They would be alarmed by the growing inability and even unwillingness to separate truth from lies. They would be alarmed that more and more of our fellow citizens seem to be flirting with authoritarianism and romanticizing moral equivalent, unquote. John McCain has gone too far with this one. To go to a foreign nation and trash the United States is unforgivable. John McCain is a disgrace as a senator and an embarrassment to our country. There's video in this if you want to pull it up and take a look at it for yourself. I'm waiting for him to be brought up on some charges. Enough anything's enough. It's off of thegatewaypundit.com, and it says, report. White House Deputy Chief of Staff and #NeverTrumper, sources of the leaks. Got News reported Sunday that one of the primary sources of the series of leaks that were designed to undermine the Trump administration and his presidency have been coming from none other than #NeverTrumper Kate Walsh. She's being investigated as one of the primary persons of interest that have been distributing highly confidential information to sources such as the failing New York Times and others. When TGP reached out to Got News founder Charles Johnson for comment on the story, he said that it was 100% reliable. I'm unwilling to reveal the primary White House sources, but Walsh was behind the leaks, he says. And there is a quote here from Got News. It says, everyone knows not to talk to her in the White House unless you want to see it in the press, says sources close to the president. The only question is whether or not she's doing it of the White House Chief of Staff, Reince Priebus, or if she's doing it to advance herself in the DC media circles. One source in particular stands out. Walsh is close to Maggie Haberman, a New York Times reporter who wrote fawning pro-Republican National Committee stories during the presidential election. Walsh has also planted stories in the She's also planted stories in the Washington Post and Politico. Walsh is referred to as Madam President in the White House as a senior aide, and it isn't a compliment. Walsh would have significant access as she controls the president's schedule. There's also reportedly a trove of emails where Kate Walsh and Reince Priebus discussed how to rid themselves of Trump, according to a former #NeverTrump consultant. The president and his allies have been deliberately feeding her fake information in order to find her network, says source close to the president's family. It's been going well. #NeverTrump Republican during the campaign. Neither Walsh nor her family were supporters during the campaign, says a source from Walsh's hometown of St. Louis. A White House investigation is planned into Walsh, who couldn't be reached for comment, unquote. This comes shortly after the Washington Examiner has reported that the House Intelligence Chair, Devin Nunes, set forth are also Obama-era officials in the Trump administration who are leaking information as the administration restaffs. And there's an update here. It says Maggie Haberman who is being investigated for collusion with Kate Walsh, was previously exposed in the Podesta leaks. Picture of that WikiLeaks post here if you want to take a look at that one. And that's all I have in this episode. If you like what I'm doing here, give it a thumbs up and share it on your social media so everybody gets to hear the news. And don't forget to subscribe if you haven't done that, and that way you'll stay informed. I'll see you in the next episode.